Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ken Kirschenbaum. Today's October 19th, 2023. You have signed in to the Central Station webinar series. Today we have Jeff Few is going to be presenting for Legacy Security Services. Legacy is Central Station with a nationwide footprint, monitoring all over the United States, and they're located in main office, South Carolina. Jeff is from a long family of alarm industry celebrities, the Few family, and he's the current owner and operator for Legacy. And he's going to be giving today's presentation, as I already said. So, as you know or should know, all the webinar presentations will be recorded, and they will appear on the K&K website in a couple of days. It'll give us a few days to get it up there. You'll be able to watch it again. You can watch this webinar and all the others. Any webinars that we do are posted on our website. So I'm going to get ready to turn this over to Jeff. And Jeff, you should see the invitation right now. Should have popped up. All you need to do is accept it, and you're on your own for the next 50 minutes or so.
Okay, thank you very much, Ken. We certainly appreciate the opportunity. Get back to that. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. I think we're back here. My name is Jeff Few, the CEO of Legacy Security Services. I have David Martinez, our CTO, here with me as well for the likely event of a question that I cannot answer. Legacy was founded in 2008 down in Greenville, South Carolina. I would define our company as a second generation alarm company, specializing into the monitoring portion of the industry. We have locations in Greenville, South Carolina, two actual offices in Greenville, South Carolina, and one office in Denham Springs, Louisiana. We have a fantastic management staff that have been in the Central Station monitoring business for many, many years. Our management staff has an average of 25 years experience. That's an average, and we have new managers as well. But our main management staff has basically started their careers in the Central Station business and have stuck with it through and through, and we're glad to have them. We monitor for about 1,000 alarm companies nationwide, and we have some in Canada and Mexico, but the vast majority of our dealers are located in the United States. Our platform that we use to monitor is our automation platform is Bold Manitou. I think we use the Neo version, and I think that is their latest version. All of our technology and staff and personnel related to monitoring accounts are on premise in one of our three offices. Just to go through a few things that I believe keep a monitoring company owner up at night. At least it has kept me up at night for the last 15 years. And that is internet connectivity as well as phone lines. And we've done some really cool stuff over the last couple of years to mitigate that risk and allow us a little more sleep at night. The first thing that we do, and why we are an on-premise monitoring company, is that all of our locations have two separate MPLS circuits coming into our company by different carriers. And each of those MPLS circuits, the primary and the backup, have their own backup supply and have their own last mile connection. As we all know in the Central Station business, all too well, that you can have 4, 5, 8, 10 circuits, but if they're all coming in from one carrier on that last mile, if that fiber gets cut, and unfortunately that does happen, if the fiber does get cut, you lose all your circuits. So in all of our offices, we have two carriers, primary, secondary. If one circuit goes down, primary connection or not, we're still up and ready to go. And that has really changed how we operate, and it's expensive, but it's well worth it. There's nothing more important than a good night's sleep. And the second thing that is a thorn in every central station owner's side, we've all been there, I've been there well more than once, is disruption of telephone lines. No matter who you're using, AT&T, Verizon, CenturyLink, if that trunk goes down, you have to get on your feet and figure out how to move to another circuit, call forward lines, and it takes time. Unfortunately, this always happens at 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and you have to try to get on the phone with your carrier and make them make a whole lot of moves to make that happen. And many years ago, it wasn't that difficult because we were considered a very, very big client of telephone carriers, and we got special treatment, and they would get on the phone with us all hours of the night. But now the TDM circuits are almost gone, and the revenue on those type of circuits are so low that we're not a big customer anymore. And very few central stations are big customers of telephone companies on them. So when it goes down in the middle of the night, you're almost on your own. However, due to really great technology, and probably the best secret we've found in the central station community in the last 10 years is that we now have the resource to having a direct API into the Somos 800 routing system. And all that means is that we are our own REST board. So back in the day where you would take a phone line from another central station or from an alarm company, you would give possession of that phone line to the carrier and then utilize their network. Well, now those get REST board directly to us. And we have relationships with multiple carriers, AT&T, Verizon, CenturyLink, Cox Cable, anybody we can have a contract with, we have one with, and we just use them for usage. So we are in full control of the routing of our telephone lines. So if we're on a primary AT&T circuit and that trunk goes down, we have rules set up right within our portal that automatically move that over to CenturyLink or to Verizon or whoever we choose. We can do that in an automated fashion, or we can do that in a, we can go in there and just change them ourselves. But that whole process takes about 6 minutes. We've tried it more than once, and it works very, very well. Whereas it could take hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours to get the telephone carrier to do what you need to do to get back on your feet. So that has changed, how we operate. It's given us a lot more flexibility. We don't have to wait 3 weeks to get a REST board anymore and hope that they did it correctly. We can control all of that on site. We have the IT staff to do it, and it's really changed how we look at the business. We're able to maneuver through conversions and big events that we normally would have gone down or been disrupted. One of the things that we sell every single day, we call the global integrator or global connector. And basically what that does is we have technology that allows us to accept any type of signal that can come into a central station. Whereas historically, we always relied on a digital communicator sending a signal via telephone line or cellular communication to a receiver that talks to the automation system that drops it down to an operator screen. Whereas today, we can monitor everything. And if you keep up with technology, they put a SIM card in just about everything. Whether it's a vending machine, whether it's a standalone smoke detector, in a barn or what have you. Every component that has a SIM card, it can be its own monitored account. And we're doing a ton of business with that type of technology. So we can take any signal, whether it's an SMS, an email, a HTML string, however we can get a message to us, we can take that string of data, skim it, make it turn that string of data into an alarm. It can just be a phone call. We can just get a phone call with a caller ID, and we can turn any message that we get into an alarm, which has opened up to a ton of different options within the industry. I mean, we are monitoring vending machines and servers and all kinds of stuff that normally, customarily would not be monitored in the central station business, but has really opened up a lot more opportunities for us, a lot more RMR opportunities for our dealers. And it works extremely well. We have an IVR, we call it interactive messaging. We can notify alarm events via IVR phone call, text message, email, basically any way you can communicate to a subscriber, we can do that. We do not require it. We certainly like to see our customers use it, especially for low priority events, power failures, low batteries, supervisories, those type of things that occur in the middle of the night, especially. We have technology that could suspend an alarm signal from, 11 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning if nobody wants to hear about it. But again, nobody's hearing about it, especially if it's an important event. And I think as an industry, if I could speak for the whole alarm industry, I don't think anybody in this day and age wants to be woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning to let them know that their power is out when of course, they already know. And I think that's just something that has to be modified over time. So our messaging system, assuming say it's a phone call from our RVR, we're notifying with the event, and they can hit 0 and speak to a live operator immediately. If we send a text message, they can respond via text immediately to our interactive conversation. Obviously email is a little slower, but if people want to be notified that way, we can do it as well. So any way we interact with a customer, they can have instant communication with the central station. Even priority events, if we have a customer who's been hit with a lot of false alarms and just wants immediate notification, wants to make sure they get the call every single time, and it's not going to, they didn't miss the call or an 800 number came up that they don't know, they might want a simple text message on an alarm call or a simple IVR call, hit 0, speak directly to an operator where they control, giving a code word and making sure that no dispatch is made. And we're seeing that a lot. However, we do not require it. We don't mandate that we use it. More and more dealers are talking to their customers, and the customers want this type of service, especially on low priority events. And we certainly support that if they want it. We do have caller ID injection. So if we're managing an alarm for AAA security and we're calling out on their behalf, it does come up on the call ID as AAA security. So if it's saved in the customer's phone, more likely than not, they'll pick it up, give us a code word, we'll clear the alarm and move on. But they have contacts, and not everybody's going to have that programmed in the phone. So they're looking at an 800 number or a foreign number they don't know. If they don't pick it up, we dispatch the police, and maybe they get a false alarm fine, maybe they don't. But in those type of events, this type of interactive messaging really cuts down false alarms. And I think as an industry, we all need to do our part to do that. So I think in the coming years, we'll see a lot more of that. And most of our dealers are inquiring about it and going to it at some level. Some are going full on automation, some are just doing a little bit. But I think it certainly helps their business, makes their customers happier. I think ultimately the customers do want those type of services. And sometimes we're scared to give it to them. But I think that the timing is right to have those conversations. Our cellular partners, I think it's everybody out there. If anybody's watching, is not on this list, please call us. We'll make sure you're on, or make sure we integrate with you. We have a fantastic IT team that's constantly doing these integrations. And anybody we're integrated with, we're fully integrated with to the extent that we can. Not only we integrate with the cellular carriers, interactive companies, but we spend a lot of time integrating with individual CRMs, especially with regard to accounts that do higher volume, have their own CRM. A lot of companies are very passionate about their CRM. And it might be a foreign CRM nobody knows about, or something they built internally themselves. And we have a development team, which I never thought I would have, but we have one now that interacts with these CRMs on a daily basis and is constantly adding them to our list of integrated programs. So, like alarm.com, we are fully integrated with, and all their tools and bells and whistles as of, everything they came out with a couple months ago, it's all integrated. A customer adds an account in alarm.com, it automatically goes to us. They change an account, we get the information in an automated fashion. Putting accounts on tests, it just talks seamlessly, as well as these other more well-known CRMs in the industry, Workhorse and Sedona, Alarm Builder, Security Tracks, and there's a whole bunch more that we just didn't mention. But if any of our customers or potential future customers have a CRM that they want to talk to us about for integration, we got a team, and we're probably adding 3 or 4 of these software packages to our arsenal every single month. We got a great app. Our app has been working extremely well. very little complaints since 2013. It's it's an interactive app. Obviously, we can do all the necessary things an alarm company needs to do by putting accounts on test, taking them off test, reviewing history, turn-by-turn directions, incredible search engine within that app. And our usability of that app is extremely high. Over 90% of our dealers, whether they're 80 years old or 18 years old, are using this app. It's that user-friendly, it's that easy. And many dealers are really managing their business out of it. Smaller guys that are in the trucks most of the time, they're looking at their maintenance issues. They're seeing who's got problems, who's got issue. They're making those phone calls directly from the app to their customers. And when they go out to do service, they're doing turn-by-turn directions right to their location. They might get a phone call from somebody that they don't know who it is, and they copy and paste that call in there, and they find out if that phone number is connected to any of their accounts within our operation. So it's a really useful tool, and the dealers seem to like it, and obviously reduces our phone time, increases our response time, and it's just much more efficient. This application is a private label app for Legacy. You can get it on, through Android or Apple on their stores. Subscribers can use the app as well to see their own individual account. In many national accounts or large accounts where they might have a key holder with many accounts underneath it, they're able to access all their accounts and switch between them, which really cuts down a lot of the workload and time that a alarm company has to spend with their customers, where all their information is really right there at their fingertips. And our automation companies out there in the industry, we still use a lot of alarm lingo and alarm language that customers just don't know anymore, and are very confused when we bring up what an expansion module is or something of that nature. And this application allows them to see that in a little more user-friendly way. And so it helps in that fashion as well. I want to talk a little bit about some verticals that we have, concentrating mainly on verticals that we think that could add to our alarm company's arsenal of services, increase their margins, and increase their RMR. And one of the fastest growing segments for us, and has been for many years, is the PERS side of the business. We've been doing that for many years. We got a nice, it's about 22% of our total RMR of our company. So it's a nice little revenue stream. It's not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of attrition. I mean, when you create your financial models on PERS, I think you need to expect a 36% attrition, but they go on a lot easier. And what we try to do, these are the main products that we distribute. All of our PERS products that we bring in-house, we distribute directly to our dealers at a very, very, very thin margin. Our goal is to get the equipment in their hands at a reasonable price for them to add additional RMR that we benefit from. So our equipment margins are very, very small. And what we also are able to do is take the inventory that we keep within our operation and we pay for on our shelves, on our balance sheets, rather than our customers' balance sheets. They can be nimble, they can kind of ease into the business, and they can take down equipment when or if they need it. And what we try to do, we've been fairly successful in converting some alarm companies into PERS companies, or having it as part of their arsenal, which is a tough thing to do. It sounds easy because it's RMR, but it's not equal. And it's a different type of play. So we have sort of an a la carte menu that we can do it all for the company, or we can do very little for the company. So if we have alarm companies that want to get into the PERS segment, but don't want to invest money, don't want to invest resources or operating resources, we do it all for them. We can, provide the equipment. We can, once they get a sale, we can ship it directly to the consumer. We can walk that customer through installing the system and getting it tested to the central station. We can provide technical and customer service on a 24-hour basis. We can bill that customer. We can collect from that customer. We can do all the responsibilities of that dealer in the customer's name. I'm sorry, in our dealer's name. It makes them look a lot deeper. They're offering a new product they don't have a whole lot of investment in, And as they continue to get scale over years, a lot of guys will take all those services back when they can justify it with revenue, or they might keep them there for a long time. But it allows us to get people, going on the PERS side, which is usually that first step is usually the biggest. With this back office fulfillment and support, we also are obtaining attention from big companies in the industry that are specializing in that demographic. Maybe they sell products to elderly people, or back braces, or Medicare, or what. It just doesn't matter. They have an audience, but they don't have an infrastructure to provide this type of service. When we go into those board meetings and we explain the economics of the PERS business, yeah, they love it, of course. That's why we're all here. But they don't have an operation to do that, so they take advantage of the fulfillment and our back office support. And our sort of model is, if you can sell the PERS product, we can do the rest for you. And that's extremely attractive to somebody looking to get in the business, to see if there's something there that can scale, or somebody just wants to try it out. And so that's been a very successful endeavor for us. With the PERS products, especially the mobile devices, they're communicated via SIM card. Some manufacturers provide the SIM card within the device, and so you pay them for their cellular communication. Sometimes a dealer will find a third-party SIM card provider. They'll provide their own SIM cards to put into the cellular devices, but most of them probably utilize their central station. A lot of central stations have deals for SIM cards, and they provide them to the customers to communicate. The problem is, I've watched a presentation or two, and we're still talking about phone lines and saying, make sure you own your own phone lines. Make sure you have language in your central station contract that says, if I've satisfied my agreement and I don't owe you any money, you have to give me possession of that phone line so I can move it, sell my business, or do whatever I want with it. And the industry is very astute to that. And central stations is pretty much standard operating procedure now. Bring on a dealer, you give him his phone line, you put it in writing, and you make sure that he's aware of that. For some reason, we haven't gotten there on SIM cards, but it's the same concept. We see it every single day that the alarm companies will get SIM cards from their central stations that they don't own. There's no contractual language that says that they get them back, and they will just get these SIM cards, and it's like living back in 1990. And then when they want to move, they want to sell their business, they want to do something, you have to go back to that central station and beg them for the SIM cards. And more often than not, they don't give them to them. And so somebody could spend a long, long time creating a great business, and then not be able to sell it to who they want to. So if you don't own your own SIM cards, or at least have language in your monitoring agreement to get possession of those SIM cards, you're going to limit your buyers, you're going to limit your opportunities in the industry. So I would just caution anybody new getting into the business or getting into this type of products to make sure they have language or have that conversation with their central station, so they don't have to deal with it, when they have 10,000 accounts and are looking to sell their business. And that's happening all day long. So obviously we have language, and we treat phone line SIM cards exactly like we do phone lines. So if somebody is in compliance with their agreement and they're looking to leave or do something, we're able to give possession back to them, or transfer possession to another third party that they want to give them to. And that's just something I think that the alarm companies to be a little more aware in the industry. And it'll come, but I think for some people it might be too late, unfortunately. Another vertical that is really paying a lot of dividends for us is lone worker monitoring assets, people, lone workers in truck fleets. A major issue in the industry right now. You don't hear it all that much because most of these trucking companies or major lone worker companies are self-insured. So there's crime every single day. We get alarms, real alarms every single night of holdups and theft and in panic situations, or these big burly truck drivers that will not leave their truck without this device. So it's very similar to a PERS device, just programmed a little bit differently, where it might send us a silent signal. We get that information on the subscriber. We can locate them through GPS, and we dispatch authorities directly to their location nationwide, no matter where they are, in very, very quick time. And every single day we're getting alarms. I mean, major alarms that we're saving lives. We have a whole back end, a portal system that shows the location of all these assets on, minute by minute. In this department, we actually take it a step further. So in the event that we have an alarm, and maybe it's a truck who got held up, and we dispatch the police there and solve the event one way or the other that night, the next morning we will pick up that alarm, we will call the responding authorities, find out exactly what happened, and more often than not, we will talk to the responding, and the major, almost all of them are real alarms, and we'll talk to the responding police person and get a summary of exactly what happened. We package that up into a nice little report, and we send that to our dealer or to the company that we're providing that service for, and they can, show it to their superiors or the people they have to report to. And it's a great system, and we're loading thousands of them. I mean, it's a real market. It's going to continue to grow. It's not a hard thing to get into as long as you set it up correctly. And I just think it'd be an incredible revenue driver to somebody who's trying to diversify from just alarm monitoring accounts. Next vertical we'd like to discuss is video monitoring. Video monitoring has been a great product for us over the last couple of years. And anybody who knows me probably thinks I've turned my opinion on this, because for many years we've invested for years and years and years into video. I mean, I would say in the millions over the last 20 years. And we just never able to make it successful. We failed at almost every attempt. And the reason is because we're always having some major investment to buy a particular device to do monitoring on specific cameras. So we had to make all the investment, and then we had to hope that dealers would go out and sell the product. And it was a tough product. It was hard to install. And generally speaking, it just wasn't a very flowing situation to really get scale. But that has all changed in the last several years with software and AI. Whereas we truly, there's no major CapEx investment that Central Station has to make. I mean, there's certainly an investment, but you're not buying hardware to support a particular product. Where a lot of these cameras, if they're networked, are able to work with any AI system or in our automation system. So for the first time in my career, I really believe that to make video monitoring work, you really need 2 to 3 parties. When I say that, you need someone who can install the camera and maintain it, which we have 1,000 dealers that can do that. And then you need somebody, and it could be the same company that installs and maintains those cameras, to connect that to the monitoring center and connect it to some type of AI management system, whether it's coming directly from the camera or a third-party analytic company. And then you absolutely need the monitoring center. We certainly need. We know it because a lot of the independent AI companies, their first effort was to go directly to the consumer, try to sell a product with AI that would go to their phone, and they would manage and be able to kind of see what was going on and be, targeted to highlighted events. And that just doesn't work. And now they're all trying to have relationships with monitoring companies, which we're excited about. So we're getting all kinds of new opportunities because I think we need each other to make the product work. And obviously, with video, we're looking at a whole lot of stuff. I mean, we're monitoring gates, we're monitoring, basically anything out there. Loitering, social distancing. We have situations where where we might be doing a gas station type of store thing, and there's 9 people in front, or more than 5 people in one clip. It's a loitering thing, which really means that they're concerned that they're going to get people going to come in and shut the doors. I mean, there's all kinds of different things that we could do. The consumer is getting much more aware of what AI can do and what video can do, which is really helping drive business. It's not where we're going to a dealer, teaching them how to do it, and then he's going to try to find the customers and explain to them why they need it. Customers are calling dealers and they're saying, we need something like this. What do you have? And that's really driving business forward. And the AI has changed the game for the Central Station. Whether that's coming from the camera itself, through some analytics, or a third-party AI company, that cloud company that's looking at those images, targeting whatever we're asking to target it and send it to us. Either way, it's really changed the game for the Central Station. And I'll give you a perfect example. I believe this came from one of our favorite AI companies, Actuate. And if you look at this, at the image to the left, I mean, it's a boatyard. It looks like not much is going on. Maybe there's a car in the back. But if you're a central station operator, your job is to look at that screen or video stream and decide, what am I going to do with that? Am I going to dispatch the police department? Am I not going to dispatch the police department? And that's a lot to put on an operator, something I never got comfortable with. I erred on the side of caution, so we dispatch when in doubt, creating a lot of false alarms. And that was always a tough conversation to have with the customer, because we didn't want to take the liability of it not being a real alarm. But AI has completely changed the game. We're able to onboard video and talk to the consumer and find out exactly what they want us to look at. So you take the image on the right, which I believe was done by Actuate, and if it wasn't Actuate, I apologize. But there's a person in that image that we can't see on the left. So now our operator is looking at a particular screenshot that the software is telling us to look at and only make a decision on that little square. And now we'll say, okay, it's a person. That makes all sense. I don't care if he's supposed to be there or not. We're going to dispatch. And now we're in the clear. It's not a false alarm as far as we're concerned. We're in a much better position on a liability level. And now we can get to scale with this type of technology. It's not hard. We have a whole team of video people that can help our dealers learn about it, execute it. And we believe everybody should be looking at that. This should definitely be in every alarm company's arsenal that's involved in the commercial side of the business. Obviously, gun detection is a huge conversation going on right now. There's a ton of funding for it. Every school is looking at this. They understand it much better than they did 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And everybody's looking at it, and it works. This is a real image of us finding a gun, and that happens all the time. And I don't need to explain the value of that. Obviously, video is going to increase RMR. It's going to get you a stickier customer, especially on the commercial side. We all know that the commercial side of the business is extremely hot right now. The valuations are much higher than the residentials today. You will think it'll increase company value, but most importantly, especially post-pandemic, where all our margins are much tighter than they were pre-pandemic, it's going to increase your company's margins. And that's why we're concentrating today on services that can bring more RMR to alarm company. These are our partners that we work with, the video side. Again, I think that is the main ones, but if I miss somebody, happy to get you integrated and included in the slide. We have an array of financial services that we've been using for a long time. This is something we have a whole team dedicated just to do financial services for alarm companies. We do not compete with the alarm company. We don't install or service our own alarm accounts. We don't install or service our own PERS accounts. But what we do is take our revenues, our profits, or our access to capital and invest that into our alarm companies. So if you're a dealer of legacy and you need money, we're a great option for you. We can raise capital as long as you have subscriber monitoring contracts to use it as collateral. And you can use that. You can use the capital for anything you like. It could be to increase marketing. It could be to buy a regional competitor, or whatever you need to use it for. We rarely lose an alarm company due to a sale event. We have great resources internally to raise that capital, to put two good like-minded dealers together, so one can buy the other. And when they combine the collateral, and we can put together a loan package that makes sense, they can do the whole sale, and they can compete with anybody. It could be going against ADT, and they can still compete with them. So very, very, very rarely do we lose somebody to an alarm event, to a sale event. We try to work within our own dealers, and most of the time it works out well for everybody. If you're just looking for some money and you're a dealer of legacy, we provide credit lines all day long. So if you're our dealer, and let's just say you have 1,000 accounts and you're charging $30 a month, that's $30,000 a month in RMR that you have available to use, and we'll give you a credit line up to 10 times. So we can give you a credit line up to $300,000 that you can use at your own leisure. You can pull down from it, you can pay it back, and you can use it when you need it. The capital markets are extremely tough right now, unlike they were 4 or 5 years ago. This industry does have banks that provide capital, but they're few and far between, and usually have a floor of which to lend to. That floor, most of them say it was $5 million. The number is probably closer to $2.5 million. But if you don't have assets or collateral or the need for $2.5 million, you don't have a whole lot of options in the industry. There are a couple. We're certainly one of them. So we do feel a vacuum, from borrowing $0 to $2 million. And we're a great opportunity for people to go borrow some money to get scale to go and then take that scale and then work to a real bank at some point once they have the need for over $2 million. And we do that all day long. And that's a huge growth segment for us. It allows us to, not to lose anybody for a financial event. And more dealers probably utilize this than you would think. So that's something we're very comfortable doing. We turn it around pretty quickly. If you don't have the right collateral or your contract's not right, or you have some due diligence to do on yourself to get you in a situation where you can kind of read it, we have a whole team that can help you with that. So not only if you don't need money, but we have a whole team that can prepare you in the event that you do need money from us or anybody else, or you're looking to sell, or anybody's going to come in and do due diligence on your firm. We're very experienced in that side of the business, and we help our dealers prepare for a sale event or any event that they need somebody to come and look at their books. But in the meantime, we lend them capital as well. And so that concludes our sales presentation. Our contact information is there. Ken, I want to thank you for the opportunity, and we're prepared to answer any questions anybody has.
Jeff, I want to thank you. That was a comprehensive presentation. I think I'm going to have to bring you back on our program webinars, Alarm Program Dealer webinars, our financial webinars, you covered an awful lot of. You may want to leave your contact information up there.
Okay.
I just want to clear up a few things in my mind before I read a couple of questions. If you have questions, by the way, write them in, please, so that I can ask them. What is this MPLS connection? What exactly does that mean?
They changed the term. They call it something else now, but I think most of the industry understands that MPLS. So that's a direct dedicated internet circuit between two offices. So that's not used, that's not. So it's a direct connection between two offices. It's always up, always stable. It's not relying on the carrier's own internet. It's a direct internet connection. We used to call them what do we call them back in the day? It was a data line.
Yeah, you'd have a private ISDN or a 56K circuit or something to that effect. But the service are Ethernet based, and it's a private circuit between the two offices that it bypasses the public internet, but allows our offices to seamlessly connect as if they had an Ethernet cable running across the country.
Is that something that you would be using if you had remote operators working for you?
No, of course not. And that's one. It's very expensive, but it does allow us to sleep better at night. And we've invested so much into the connectivity between the offices. We could never duplicate that on a remote operating situation. So
is this something that you would think all central stations would have?
Yeah, I bet a lot of them do. I mean, we just put a major emphasis on having dual lines with separate last mile connections. So I think we probably go a little bit further than the average central station, but that's just our threshold for sleep is pretty high.
Listening to you, I was struck by all the technology that you have available at your central, and I couldn't help but wonder if that was one reason, besides the fact that you probably invested a lot of money, that you're, I guess, relatively new. 2008, you guys went into this central station operation, which puts you in a whole different category than someone who's been around a long time and maybe still use McCullough loops in their offices.
Well, sadly, I've been around long enough to understand what a McCullough loop is. And again, we are a second generation family company. So we were sort of born into the industry. This is, I would say, for most of us, our second go around. So although we're a new company, 15 years old, I guess we categorize that as new. You know, we've been doing this for over 30 years. Our management staff individually have been doing this for over 30 years.
Yeah, but you're not burdened by old technology that you had to wonder, can we make it work? Can we bang it around a little bit and get it to work with today's technology? You guys were able to go right into today's technology. That's what I was really getting at.
Yes, that is absolutely true. We're able to take advantage of the newest technology. But you know, we brought over a lot of companies, so that, you know, they had old technology. So we still have the same phone line issues that any central station have.
Okay.
But I would say on the technology front, we're probably a little bit more modern than many central stations, just because we didn't have to replace old technology. We're able to take advantage of the new technology.
You're the first to mention Restborg forms, which I'm not sure many dealers understand, and that's when dealers do understand that they're transferring lines that they think they own when they sell their companies and agree to transfer their accounts. And the Restborg line request is usually made to the telephone companies, whereas in your case, it would be made to you, I guess.
Yes, that is correct. We have our own Restborg ID. So you know, some people in this industry would think this technology categorized them as a phone company. We do not think that it categorizes us as a phone company, but we do have our own Restborg identity. So when someone's transferring a phone number to us, they're transferring it directly to us, and we just port it out to whatever carrier we want to use at that time.
So transferring accounts is relatively, it's much easier when dealing with legacy. That's
it's much easier, it's much more predictable, and there's less third parties to get involved in. And if anybody had the pleasure of dealing with, you know, one of these big phone carriers as a third party, it can get a little confusing.
Well, what's customer service like at Legacy? Meaning the dealers contacting for issues that may arise, maybe a billing problem or maybe a response problem, things like that. Who do they get to talk to?
Yeah, I mean, we're again categorized a fairly newer company. We're old school when it comes to customer service. I mean, we don't have an auto tend to answer the phone. We have great management style. Everybody has everybody's cell phones. I mean, my wife doesn't even hear me talking at 3 o'clock in the morning anymore. My phone rings so often. All of our dealers have access via cell phone to all of our management, every single one of them, and they use it. And again, a lot of us were born into this industry, so handling phone calls at all hours of the night or getting calls from all your dealers having access to you is just part of our life. It always has been. And I don't know what life would be without it.
The various programs that you have, which I'm going to get into in a moment, are sort of fall within the category that I emphasize that dealers need to consider when they select the central station, and that is, how else is the central station going to assist you to grow your business and operate your business? Something above and beyond just monitoring your accounts, which is a given when you select the central station. So it sounds like Legacy has developed an quite a number of programs to assist its dealers. But let's go back to just the more routine type of issue that a dealer might have. Does Legacy have anyone on staff that can assist them with some technical information during an installation or a repair, where assuming obviously it's something to do with equipment that they have, not equipment you've provided, which I'll get into later, but you know.
Absolutely, we have a dedicated IT team, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, always somebody available, and they're always on the phone. with our alarm companies, many times on programming issues, on cellular connectivity, on all kinds of stuff. So I would say that we have an extremely experienced IT department that's well versed in everything alarm related. And they were sort of born into the industry too. So we all work long hours. I think that's a big strength that we have is our availability, especially after hours to our alarm companies. I mean, alarm companies don't stop working at 5 o'clock, and neither do we. And they all have direct access to everybody.
So you have not embraced remote operators and meaning work from home. And is there a reason that you haven't?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. And initially, I had 4 or 5 slides on it, and I just kind of threw them out because ultimately, we are an on-premise monitoring center. We believe in it. When I look at the pandemic, I always think of this day, March 20th, when it really got real for us. And we sat down, obviously, and we bought the laptops, we bought the routers, we got ourselves prepared, but we made a decision internally that we were going to use it at last resort. And we got lucky a little bit because we have 2 offices in Greenville. We were kind of moving our location, but we were going to keep that one available for a disaster recovery anyway. So we had 2 locations within 5 miles that we can move operators to and from. And so we kept muddling along, and it was hard. I will concede that we had some service issues early on. It took us a while to kind of get them. We had a hard time hiring. So we suffered a little bit on some low priority events, but we made it through. Our high priority response time stayed through. So it took us a little bit of time to figure out how to get staff in and do all those things. It certainly cost us a lot of money. But what really changed for us is that same year in 2020, there was a hurricane that came through South Carolina from the coast all the way up through. It was Hurricane Zeta, Z-E-T-A. I think it was the end of 2020. And at the time, we had 2 central stations. We didn't have Louisiana in Greenville. We had Suwanee, Georgia in Greenville. And we lost power in both locations for over 3 days. So in both of our UL central stations, we were running on generators for over 3 days. If we were in a remote situation, we would have been out of business, or we would have had to get 30 operators to find their way to our locations. So we were just literally running on gas, diesel generators for 3 days, and we went through fine. But if we were not in on-premise central station during that event, that weather event, which was really a water event, we would have been in trouble. So I think that locked it in for us that we were going to be an on-premise monitoring company until the last resort.
You raised a different issue. I'll have to bring you back again on a liability webinar. So because I've thought about that. So the central station managed to stay operating, managed to have its operators. Presumably, you were continuing to get signals coming in.
We were never down at all. We never missed a beat. But all of our operators were located in the same geographically where the power was out. So they would all lost power in their house for 3 days. Yeah,
but I'm just curious. Communication lines still need to come into your building. And
yes.
They could be interrupted somewhere along because of down lines or broken lines or that's the first issue that you could have. So communication may not even be able to get to your central station, even though you're fully staffed to handle them. But where else I was going on that is, what do they do when they get them? What do you do with the signal? Were police even accepting calls? Was the fire department accepting calls, or was?
No, not locally, because the weather event happened to be where we were, but we're a national monitoring center. So somebody from California doesn't care what the weather's like in Greenville, South Carolina. They want their alarms being handled. So it doesn't matter where you are. It matters where you're monitoring, what the weather is there.
What type of but even so, even your facility, like any central station, I would assume, you still have to have cables coming into your building. Is there some kind of backup through radio or cellular that might kick in the event that the lines are somehow compromised?
Yeah, well, what would have to happen? We'd have to lose service from 5 different carriers because of our Westport setup. we would have to lose 6 MPLS circuits for that to occur. And then even if some of that occurred, we'd have to lose our SD-WAN WAN capability, and then we'd have to lose our enterprise cellular services as the final in the catch-all backup. So we're well versed for those type of events. Our concern is never technology anymore. I think we're well set there. Our concern is making sure we have as we say in the industry, the butts in the seats to handle those weather events, and that's why we're on-premise monitoring center. And I think I can sit here and I can go through all the reasons why we disagree with remote monitoring from a operational perspective, a technology perspective, a legal perspective, or an insurance perspective. And there's reasons on all those categories why there's concern. But ultimately, we're in the business to give our customers what they want, and our customers do not want remote monitoring. And I don't know how to be successful in business giving our customers what they don't want.
Good point. Let's talk about the various programs that you offer, which I think is different than most central stations, I think, because they don't all offer what I'll call a dealer program. I don't know if you characterized it as that, but that's what it certainly sounded like. So first you have a PERS program where you're offering the actual equipment to your dealers. I presume at an attractive price, maybe credit or whatever you do. When you say PERS, how are you using that term? Is that strictly medical alert, or is that also panic or GPS monitoring?
We just sort of separate to two different categories because people kind of understand them differently. So yeah, it's the same equipment and same sort of concept with both of those, but we sort of separate just for the ease of understanding. PERS obviously meaning personal emergency response system, and lone worker, panic buttons, and fleet management. It's the same equipment, same whole concept. We just kind of separate it really for a sales reason, but it's the same type of monitoring.
Well, even your PERS button, your PERS fob or whatever, however it's activated, does it have just a medical alert button, or does it have also a panic button, a security button?
It's got one button, but you can call it whatever you want. So if you are a truck driver, we identify that signal coming in as a panic alarm or a holdup or duress alarm. If you're a medical customer, we identify that signal as a medical event. So we can set up that signal in every application to be whatever it's used for.
Okay. Well, I just want to alert your dealers that they may require monitoring licenses in jurisdictions other than where they're actually located if they're selling PERS for security purpose anyway, not so much medical alert.
That is a great point. I believe that majority of this stuff would fall into PERS licensing, not necessarily alarm licensing.
Well,
to the extent that they're different.
But now you're using PERS as medical alert. Medical alert does not require a lot of different state licenses. It has some requirements. It does have different contract requirements, by the way, in some locations. Different cancellation requirements within the contract, not just cooling off, but also cancellation under certain events while the monitoring is taking place. The medical alert monitoring is taking place. So they need to be aware of all of that too.
It's a little different than security because it's a month-to-month contract. The customer can cancel anytime they like, so you don't get into those disputes. But contractually, it's an separate experience with a separate contract.
Well, medical, just so you know, a medical alert does not need to be month-to-month. They just have to have the ability to cancel under certain circumstances if they get too sick to use the product.
Right.
It could be month-to-month. Doesn't have to be month-to-month. It could have a term on it.
Generally speaking, our customers are month-to-month.
Okay, well, that's fine. I know you're not in the legal business, so that's okay. Did you discuss your basic pricing during this webinar?
I don't think I'm just gonna throw it out here because we offer a lot of different things depending on how they want us to do certain things. So our pricing is available on request if you don't mind.
Sure, I don't mind. I'm not a alarm dealer. Why would I mind?
Right.
Video. You talked a little bit about video, your video capabilities. do you monitor just video? I shouldn't say just, but do you monitor video clips, or do you also monitor live 24/7 monitoring?
We certainly do both. You know, more and more now is live video monitoring, where you will get a clip of what the AI is asking us to look for. So when we set up an account, you know, the customer might want to look for people, might want to look for loitering, might want to look for, you know, whatever. And we set up the account in the AI to look for those events. And so a lot of times we'll get a clip, like you saw in my presentation, that sort of triggers or targets us what exactly to look at. And along with that clip is the stream of data as well that can go back and start looking at a more current thing. But I would say the majority of the stuff that's coming in are streaming data services, although a lot of it's clips as well. We do them both.
Well, I think you also mentioned gates. I think
Yeah.
now gates, if you're monitoring gate access and providing basically, I don't know if you want to call it a concierge service or a remote guard service, you're actually live 24/7 and active 24/7 because you're talking two-way through audio. As a driver comes up, you decide whether to raise the gate or not raise the gate. You're in an area in South Carolina where there's an awful lot of communities that have popped up, all these gated communities that are finding out that it's sort of expensive to have live guards standing there 24/7, and they can replace them with access control and video and audio remote control and monitoring, and that's becoming popular. I know we've designed a contract for that and added it to the all-in-one also. As a matter of fact, we have a separate contract for that because we were asked to prepare it, and it's becoming more popular. I think the ones I've had are definitely down in Florida, South Florida, but I'm sure South Carolina is another area.
Yeah, and I'll get the word out to our dealers that you do offer that rider, because that's a big part of our business in after-hour gate monitoring, whether it's a parking garage after hours or it's a gate community after hours. We don't have anybody manned. And a lot of these, you know, because I've been on the front end of a lot of these conversations, they're trying to reduce the remote guards for an expense of a person, probably more important from a liability perspective, reduce the amount of physical guys with guns or no guns, or security guys there. So a lot of our accounts, you know, we'll just, you know, after hours, trying to get access, they got to call us, and we got to walk them through their video and find out who they are and give them access or not access. So that's becoming a big part of our offering as well.
And you've got to have the manpower for that, because an operator who's actually handling video like that can handle, I don't know how many accounts, but someone handling, you know, digital accounts coming in, the traditional monitoring service, they may be able to handle 1,000 customers, whereas a video, maybe they can handle 10 because the activity and attention is so different for those kinds of activities.
Yeah, we have found through our trials and tribulations in the video world that it really requires a completely separate operator, not connected to the alarm monitoring side. So we have bifurcated those departments. So our video people are video people, and our alarm monitoring people are alarm monitoring people.
Financial services, that's another program that you have, and that's exclusively for dealers, your own dealers. And do you find a lot of your dealers take advantage of that?
Yeah, I mean, this is something we've been offering since we started here. You know, I spent a lot of time on the financial side of other. And that's just something we're extremely comfortable with. You know, we probably 20% of our dealers owe us money, have borrowed money either on a term side of loan or a line of credit. And I just think especially in this day and age, it's very hard to go out there and get capital. The interest rates are high, so we look just as good as any regular bank that they would go into now. It's an easier transition. We understand the collateralization of alarm accounts. We understand the legal side of it and how to close those contracts, protect ourselves and protect the dealers. and it's quick. So any alarm company has a big job or get themselves in a jam or have to pay off a distributor before they get paid, we're a great asset for them. And the more we can take off their chest, the more business they can do and bring in more revenue for our company.
I won't pin you down with your interest rate, but I'm going to guess it's less than what they pay if they charge it on a credit card and try to pay that off.
Well, I'm happy to tell you our interest rate. I mean,
Okay.
we're going to be somewhere between 10 and 13%.
Okay.
That's fixed term. I mean, obviously interest rates are going up, but we fix ours at one spot. So right now we're a great option. If somebody has access to capital markets in prime rate, we might not be the perfect solution for them, but everybody else, we're just as good as anybody offering money these days.
All your loans are amortized, meaning principal and interest paid back, or you'll just give an interest-only loan?
No, that's a great point. Thank you for asking. All of our loans, our term loans, are amortized. So we pay, it changes how much ratio of principal to debt, but every one of our loans are amortized with principal and debt being paid down for a specific term. Our line of credits are just interest, but they term out 12 months that we renew or not renew. But that's the difference. That's the only difference between those two programs.
Okay, I want to get to a couple of questions that came in. You might have answered some of these directly or indirectly. Can you do proactive video monitoring through alarm.com, not video verification, live monitoring?
We can, we don't. But the technology's there. Alarm.com does offer that. I don't know how to price that. We're still trying to price out alarm.com video. We're providing it for a lot of customers now, but we're still learning it. But we don't proactively live view any alarm.com. We just take what's coming in and we process that.
But you did say that you're live viewing gate operation.
I don't know. We live view you mentioned alarm.com. So that's just a newer thing and we're all just trying to figure it out. But no, we do live view on a lot of video applications that we're there 24 hours a day.
What makes alarm.com different than the others?
Well, one, we don't know, I'm not to get into the weeds here, it's a new event, but when we don't know that alarm.com even includes video in their offering until we get a video clip. So we don't even know how to set it up. I mean, they set it up themselves and they might set it up for video and it just comes in. We didn't even know they had it. So we're still working out the kinks as an industry in whole. Whereas these other manufacturers are live view monitoring, we have a direct connection, internet connection with them that they contract us to watch all the time. So alarm.com, the way that's set up, we don't even know who has it. We never know that somebody has video set up on alarm.com until we get an event. And it's a newer event. We just started alarm.com since April.
Does Legacy monitor subscriber?
Escalate events.
Does Legacy monitor subscriber accounts directly?
No.
So you're not competing in that sense?
No, we do not own one subscriber directly, maybe except for my house account maybe, but no, we do not do that.
Here's a comment. Someone wants us to have closed caption for these webinars. I don't know if I can figure out how to do that one, but we'll see. Maybe Legacy can, because Legacy seems to be.
We'll certainly look. If I'm looking, you probably need it.
Yeah, we can do it post-production.
Okay. All right. Well, someone asked for it, so there you go. Alarm.com does not give the central station access to the cameras until the alarm event occurs.
That's right.
So that's an answer that somebody provided you with.
Great, thank you.
Well, we are out of time, and you're off the hook, Jeff, because that's
Thank you
it.
very much, Ken. I appreciate the time. Look forward to doing it again sometime.
Well, we'll be doing it again, and thanks so much for participating, and I hope everybody got a lot out of it, and I hope you will consider Legacy. They seem to have an awful lot of things to consider here, a lot more than just answering the signal that comes in. So if you want to reach them, Jeff's available at that number, I guess. There's an address right there. Again, the webinar will be available on the K&K website. And thank you all again, and we'll see you next week as we continue the webinar series. Thank you.
Thank you.